Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Teddy's Haven. Usually, I will have waited for like another update to happen before jumping into um another stream of Teddy's Haven. But this seemed like a good, like, chill game that I can do whenever I want, kind of thing. Oh, interesting. The auto harvest thing clicked on half over here for me. Interesting. Let me grab Boulder because I will absolutely forget any of the other mounts. Like, I will 100% forget that I have, like, used one of the other mounts. So, this grass, like this spot here, like, I put the house here before. And now there's no grass and the land has, like, risen up and it stayed that way. But only right here. And that's where I initially built the thing. Built the house. So that seems odd. It just seems odd that, like, the house has done that. Whoop. Okay. I guess we're taking everything except the walls. That's really funny, actually. About the ceiling. Nope, ceiling did not come with. Okay. I figure, you know, if this area is going to be here, like the only reason I moved it away from the spot last time was just because this ground, like, rose up on me. But, like, if that's going to stay that way for whatever reason, it might not hurt to just put the building here again. But now that the ground is, and now that the ground has been, you know, raised up, right? Like, the pieces shouldn't, like, go back down, right? Like, that's what I'm thinking anyway. This is when flight comes in handy. I said I have no idea how the roof pieces work. I don't know if they will like align to the floor and then snap to that. Kinda seems to be the case. Like, I think that is the case. I think they're aligning to the floor and like snapping into place that way. Oh, you know what? Freaking, I had the bumble on this wall. Oh well, it's fine. Up. There we go. There. Now, I just hope that, like, that it's like that this was always here. And that it's not gonna, like, now suddenly sink, you know, into the ground or something. That's kind of really all I have to hope is just that. So. Like, I'm hoping that it did, that the reason that, like, it was embedded in the ground isn't that it, like, sank or something. It didn't seem like it sank over here. So, I don't know what all exactly was going on with that. It also doesn't seem like the building being there is the reason why, like, this area has no, like, grass. Maybe it's just always been like that and I didn't notice. Like, how there's no grass here, for example. Maybe I just didn't notice that there was no grass there before. And maybe I'm only just now realizing it because of the structure. I don't know. Click. Activate the glow harvest fire. Go ahead and pay off all of our bills. So we got 4,000 monies. Also, I totally unmounted. Okay, I was gonna say I put Boulder right in front of the building, and now I don't know where Boulder is. I found him. It's okay. Even if I hadn't been able to, they did add that bell of recall specifically for that purpose. Because people kept, like, losing their mounts, is what the dev said. At least that's what the change log said. Wah! 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, so we've got 150 left. 138 left. So that's something to keep an eye on. Milkweed. If I remember right, it was Blue Sky, Dark Lunacite, Dragon's Blood, Glitch, Honeyglow, and Star Shard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. I'm fairly sure. I like how when you throw in the glitched milkweed, because each like bottle is a different color. It changes the color of the cheese here for each color that you put in, and so it like flickers back and forth a little bit. It's kind of funny, actually. Boop. And boop. Okay. As far as Buzz goes, it's Azure Berry and Bloodberry. So let's start there. It is Azure Berry and Bloodberry, and I need 2 of each. And it's Ghostberry, and it's Mireberry. And then from there, I have no idea. I can see the Soulberry. So let's put the Mireberry and the Mireberry. And then the Soulberry. I do like that it tells you what you're like holding. I do wish that there was a way that I could look at, you know, the stuff here and see what they are. Which is interesting because, like, in the original, like, the forges and the pots used to, like, show an image of what you had put in. And it kind of seems like they've removed that for some reason. Maybe he thought it looked better without the image, but I would kind of really prefer that they add the image back in so that you can see, you know. Because, like, yeah, I get that, like, you know, you've got all the different colors. But I'm also thinking about, you know, the people that maybe have, the people that, you know, have, like, God, what's it? Color blindness. I don't know why that was so hard to freaking remember. I swear something is wrong with my memory lately. Like, I've talked to my doctor about it, and she says I'm okay, but, like, I'm just like, really? Are you sure? Like, are we sure? Because I have brought up the concern. But I'm also freaking, what's the term, narcoleptic? Where the thing where you always think something is wrong with you. You know? Shard, 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 shard. Shard, 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 shard. Shard. I also always get that mixed up with the thing where like you fall asleep all the time. So I don't have that, but I have chronic fatigue syndrome. So I like get tired really easily, and I do fall asleep a lot, but I'm not like I don't like uncontrollably fall asleep. Like I can force it away, you know. I don't just like randomly fall asleep in the middle of the freaking, you know, whatever. Unless, of course, you know, that's just like cartoon logic. You know, freaking cartoons and video games always like make it look worse for comedic effect, you know? So, like, I don't know, maybe it's because I only know it from, you know, cartoons, video games, etc. So, I think my friends fell asleep. Prior to starting this recording, I was talking to some friends, but they have been quiet for the last, like, hour. So, which is funny because usually right about now is when I'm talking to them. So it's kind of like, wow, did they like fall asleep early or something? Because I mean, it is late. It's just funny because one of them was commenting like, "You're always awake. You know, you're always like awake late in the day, aren't you?" And I'm like, well, yeah, but you know, I go to bed at like 4 in the morning usually. I don't, you know, stay up all night. But I'm also thinking like, but also, again, you're always up as late as I am. So, it'd be really funny if one of them like watched this video and like heard that conversation and was like, wait a minute, is this? Because I don't think they are even aware that I do YouTube and Twitch. Like, I've never brought it up before. So it would be kind of funny, you know? They've been like watching my streams for, you know, the last year or whatever. And then I comment on that and they're like, wait a minute. I had that conversation with... Well, no, I don't think they would be able... I don't think that would be the case. I don't think that they would be unaware. Because, like, you know, my username is pretty unique. Serene Inc. after all. And that's the username I use everywhere. So, Twitch, YouTube, Discord, Reddit, Telegram, which apparently is a thing that a lot of people use. I have only recently learned that it even is a thing. and I don't even know how to use it other than like I made the account on it and 2 people have added me. I don't know how to add people. I don't know how to access any other features of the program. That said, I am not using that username on Cash App. So if anybody gives you a Serene Inc. for Cash App, it's not me. I keep looking over at the chat as if expecting something to show up. These are pre-recorded. Because we're moving this month. Now, from my understanding, the hope is that we will be moved into the new house within like a week. I'm gonna try to record like 2 weeks worth of stuff at least. The word being try. Because while I have been recording pretty heavily lately, the actual like moving process hasn't actually begun yet. Like, we packed up a couple of things. Like, I packed up like 3 or 4 boxes. And that's really about it. We haven't started like sitting down and packing things up yet. We haven't like started disassembling furniture or anything like that, you know? So, like, that's probably gonna start tomorrow. Not tomorrow, probably Sunday. Or not, tomorrow is Sunday, at least for me. I think this goes up on Wednesday, based off of how I have the videos set up. This should be going up on Wednesday, because the first episode of Eden should have gone up yesterday, and yesterday for you should have been Tuesday. And by yesterday, in this case, I did mean for you. You, the viewers. There should be an episode of something in between each of the Edens. That's my hope. If there's not, there might be a blank day. So if there is just like nothing that goes up one day, then the next the next day should hold an Eden. Because as of this time of recording, I only have the 2 Edens. The first 2 Edens done. I recorded the first 2 same day, and then it was so late that I could barely get into the last 2 raids of the second tier. So I was like, oh well, tomorrow, my tomorrow at that point, today essentially, I was like, I'll just record it the next day, And then I literally could not wake up today. Like, I kept falling asleep over and over and over and over. And the next thing I knew, it was freaking 12 a.m. Needless to say, I'm not getting into any Edens today. So I was like, well, what if I record some like stuff to be in between the Edens. And then that'll give me a couple of days to try and record the last Eden. So that'll be interesting for all of you because, again, I recorded the first two with the assumption that it would be every single, 3 days in a row. They met in a battlefield of dreams, Selra the Starborn Sorceress and Kale the Forgotten Knight. One ruled time, the other had none left. They danced between wars, across memories that weren't theirs, chasing a truth neither understood. And when the world begged them to choose a side, they chose each other. The houses are empty. That said, I do wish that there was a little something more that you could do with the cats. Because there are so many of them around. And they just kind of hang here. It's like I can left click and make them follow me, but otherwise they just kind of chill. They don't, I can't give them stuff. I can't pet them, build up their happiness. No, there's no real interaction with the cats the way that there is. Even the other animals, there really isn't much other than, you harvest eggs or, such. But even that would be better than just nothing, But what would you harvest? That sounds terrible, but, what would you, obtain from cat? Cow give milk. Makes sense. But what do you get from cat, Oh yeah, that's right. I have one of these over here now. Which means I believe all of these guys have given me their stuff already. Although it clearly doesn't reach all the way over there. So hopefully none of them were over there at the time. And probably once we hit level 34 or whatever is the current level cap in terms of purchasable stuff for your shop. Then I can probably start thinking about further automation. But it also really depends on what the game does and what they update. So meow. Cats are bored. Or I should say one of the cats are bored. But she's always bored. Because she has nothing to do. And somebody, I'm gonna immediately assume that somebody's gonna be like, well, you need to give them something to do. And yeah, I do agree. The problem is that we don't know what to do to make her more active, because her problem is she is so ridiculously fat that it like physically hurts for her to move at all. And so it's like, well, she needs to lose weight in order to, you know, alleviate the pain. But she's in too much pain to do anything to lose the weight. And like, we have bought like a diet food that's supposed to help with like weight loss, but it doesn't seem to be doing too much. She has lost 2 pounds since we started feeding her, but that was last year that we started like, she's been like this for like almost a year now. I keep thinking that I should recommend, like, hey, you know, think about taking her to the vet and see if the doctor can give any recommendations. But then I don't, because I don't think about it. I'll think about it at times like this, when I, like, bring it up in conversation on, like, stream or in, like, a recording like this. And then that's like the extent of it. You know, I then don't remember to be like, oh hey, I should, you know, relay that to the family. Also, if I may, why is the human body like such a piece of crap? Like, I have owned animals like my entire life. And one thing I have come to notice is, while animals can get sick, you know, while your cats and your dogs can get sick, they really just don't most of the time. Meanwhile, the freaking human body is like, hey, why don't I get sick every freaking 3 to 4 months? And the world, like, in general, is like, hey, why don't we create a virus that will, like, destroy humanity, like, every 3 to 4 months? Like, why is the human body so freaking dumb? I hate it. Freaking, like, every freaking bacteria and virus that, like, can make you sick has freaking evolved specifically to work on humans. You know? Which is also something interesting if you look at it, because, like, you know, when COVID was a big deal, I mean, I know it still is out there, but it's just not as, like, bad as it used to be. But, like, when COVID was, you know, big, it wasn't, you know, my cats weren't getting sick with it. You know, like, my whole family was sick with COVID for freaking a month and a half. It never freaking traveled to the cats, though. Or either of the dogs. Like, they never got sick. It's freaking... It's specifically built for humanity, it feels like. And but, like, didn't COVID come through, like, fish or something? Like, it like... started from like a fish. That's what I've heard. I don't know if it's true, but like it started in a fish, and then freaking humans ate the fish, and then it freaking got COVID, and then carried COVID to the other humans, and it's like, why humans? Like, why are our bodies so freaking stupid that we just get all of the viruses and all of the diseases? You know? Like, don't get me wrong, it's not that I want my animals to get sick. I just want to know why I get sick and they don't. You know? Like, my animals can freaking chill with me and cuddle, and they're perfectly fine. I walk over to freaking mom with COVID, give her the slightest hug, and you know, freaking now she's sick. You know? Like, what the frick? I do get another alchemist agreement at level 24. And when that happens, I'm gonna have to see what it will give me. Let's see, what does it say? How many items are unlocked on that? Oh, it doesn't say yet. Okay. It'll tell me when, it becomes available. It won't tell me ahead of time. Just cause, like, you know, freaking, this is my potion section. And that's fine, you know. I kind of consider it my potions and reagents. But if I'm getting more than 3 potions, I'm going to have to expand the section. You know? Which might involve moving some things around. Nope, my drink is out. Well, hello. I didn't see you there. She must have just, like, stepped up when I, you know, looked. Because she had not been there just a moment prior. Like, or rather, like, she hadn't, like, put down her stuff yet. So... two things. Ta-da! Oh. I wonder if bagging can be automated with the auto feature. Yep. Cool. Don't even have to hold the button. Except that then it goes away as soon as... Okay, yeah, that would... Constantly turning it on for that would be annoying. It's not a big deal anyway, you know? You just hold the click. I do like the music in this game. Wow, he had exact change. Which is interesting when you consider that the idea is like, you know, you're taking their money and then like, you know, you're taking the money as a whole and then handing them the bag back after you've taken the money out. So, for there to be exact change is like interesting, you know? I wonder how it determines like how much money each character has. Pop, 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 pop. 31. I'm really not paying any attention to like how much money I'm actually getting. Like, for example, this is 21.28. That's what she had, 21.28. I guess I can kind of understand like why I'm not paying much attention. Like, this is really tiny, you know? Freaking 104.16, he paid 129. So then the return is 24. That's not what 20. Oh, I took like this is why I usually don't do this. But this is why I use the mage pad. I was clicking 2 20s, thinking I was clicking 2 10s. I'm like, why am I freaking like I'm clicking 2 on the 20? I'm clicking yes, I'm clicking twice on the 20. That's not $20, that's 40. 20, 44. This is why I don't freaking do the actual cash. First off, it's just faster to use the mage pad. And second off, freaking, like, gosh dang. Like, I hate. Even when I worked at Wendy's and McDonald's, both. But like, even when I worked, like, as a cashier and had to constantly hand money back, I was regularly sitting there like, no, wait, this isn't right. Now, granted, I say that, but my drawer was always perfect. So, like, I did it. I just struggled to do it, is all. But, like, I did do it, you know? VoiceMod did not like that. When VoiceMod does that, it goes boom. What it thinks is happening is some kind of feedback loop. And so what it will do is it will throw an error because it thinks that there's a feedback loop, and it tries to turn the microphone off. It apparently fails at that every time, but every time you hear that like boom, it's because VoiceMod just threw an error thinking that there was a feedback loop, and so it tried to turn the microphone off so that it would stop the feedback loop. But it doesn't actually work. Also, VoiceMod is a really good example of the enshittification of technology. Because VoiceMod 2.0 works perfectly fine on my computer. When I upgrade to VoiceMod 3, which is, you know, the current version of VoiceMod, it will crash after having been run for like 2 hours. I sent a support ticket to the VoiceMod team being like, hey, so this happens. And they were like, that's weird. I don't know why that's happening. Have you tried reinstalling it? I said, yes. Have you tried uninstalling it, rebooting the computer, and then reinstalling it? You know, because sometimes when you uninstall a program, it doesn't 100% completely properly uninstall. So they're like, have you tried doing that? I'm like, yes. They asked for the specs of my computer, so I gave it to them. They were like, I don't know. I'm like, great. That gives me so much confidence in your freaking program. That you don't know what could possibly be wrong with your program. That gives me so much confidence. Freaking, what it tells me is that they are completely inept. Like, straight up. That's what that tells me. Is that they are completely inept. Now, I'm willing to admit, as a game developer, that yes, I have run into bugs as a game developer where I'm like, I don't know what this is. Usually in those cases, it's because I didn't program it. Well, I mean, that's like 90% of it right there. It's because I wasn't the one that programmed it. You know? Freaking, I use RPG Maker, which has plugins that other people code. Nighttime event. Oh, this is the dark lunacite over here. Okay. So the normal lunacite must be on that side. Got it. Coolies. I haven't seen any star shards in a while. Also, it's like really bright tonight for some reason. Like, the moon is like really bright. Like, it almost looks like it's daytime. Oh, lordy, there's a freaking rainbow. Voice mod. Why do I say, oh lordy, there's a rainbow? It's because of what is out at the rainbow. Whoops. F to fly, not T. I don't know why I keep thinking T is the fly button. It's time to go out to the rainbow. Because, oh lordy, there's a rainbow. We are now officially out of bounds again. Which is fine. I mean, I've got 3,000 out of boundium, but it never hurts to get a little bit more. Because it will eventually run out if I don't keep replenishing it to some degree, you know. So it's not a bad idea to come out of bounds every once in a while and collect some more. Okay, yes, I am moving at full speed. Huh. That's a voice crack, but that's an oddly high resolution, like high level of detail item. Oh, I keep freaking hitting the wrong. Well, that's weird. There's nothing even here. Figured, well, maybe there's something on it, but there's not. So, do you see what it is that's out there by the rainbow? That is the reason why I went, oh lordy, there's a rainbow. Oh my gosh, voice mod. Freaking, it's okay. I'm just being loud. There's no feedback loop. You'll see what it is when we get over this mountain. Because it's huge. If you haven't seen the other episode where I went to the edge of the rainbow, well, you're about to see it. It should be visible right about now. Oh lordy, That's some out of boundium. I think I'm only going to collect the one, because this gives you like 5,000 or some odd. It is kind of ridiculous how much you get out of this thing. And it's so big. Look at this. Okay, it's only 100. I swear it was like way higher. Okay, that freaked me out for a second. I don't know why. Can I be honest? I was kind of freaking out while I was out there. I don't know why, but I was like legitimately like having anxiety freaking like out there in the out of bounds area for some reason. And I don't know why. Just hitting all the wrong buttons. It's okay. Right, I can't harvest anything. I didn't think so. But yeah, I don't know, there's something about like being out there. Like, it's cool, but like it gives me like the heebie-jeebies. Just being out in the freaking out of bounds. Like, I'm sure that part of the problem is I feel worried that I'm going to fall out of the map or something. Even though I have the ability to just teleport right back. But at the same time, like, I don't know. There's just something about it. Like, I just feel like really unnerved about going out of bounds like that. Greenwake Grimscale. Clearwater Dreadmaw. And you can see like the rarity of the fish that you're getting if you look at the orb. Because it'll be white, green, red, or it'll be white, green, blue, and gold. Wild Root Drakefin. Heck yeah. That's a gold. My assumption is that it's common, uncommon, rare, and legendary. Like that was a rare. Because it was blue. This is a common because it's a white. Just a basic fish. Other common verdant thrush. Greenwake Grimscale. That's an uncommon. Another Greenwake Grimscale. Ooh, new record for that Greenwake Grimscale. Springtide Flow Runner. Wild root drakefin. Nice legendary fish. That said, I haven't seen a purple. Like usually there would be like epic level, and it would be purple, and that would be before the gold. But I haven't seen like an epic, a purple. It's just white, green, blue, and gold. Yeah, neither of my friends have responded back. It's been an hour and a half now. I think they went to bed, which is fine. Prism Tide Rush, new record, 6.4 centimeters. Now, I have no idea if any of that, like, changes. Like, if any of that is, like, saved to the actual fish or not. Like, could I pull out several fish and be able to see what that one is bigger than the other? Like, does the size of the fish even matter for anything? You know? I feel like it wouldn't. Because, you know, it's not like you're choosing which fish you pull out when you, like, take them out of the bag, you know? So... we're at level 8. Gonna assume that when we get to level 10, we'll get a higher rarity chance. But I don't know if, like, the rarity of the fish has anything to do with, like, the amount of experience we get. Like, that gave us 612, like, now we're at 612.5. So that was almost 100 experience. And then, like, that was an uncommon, but that gave us the same amount of experience. That was a common, but gave us the same amount. So... I'm sure that at some point when the game is finished, you know, like 3 years from now, I'm sure they'll, you know, change things up with this. because this is, you know, just the released version of fishing. Like, they added it like 2 updates ago. So, and as we've seen with a lot of other things, like, once the system's out and people have given feedback, like, then they, you know, go in and start updating and changing, and so, well, you know, change entire models or mechanics. Not that I can think of any immediately off the top of my head where they've done that. Other than changing models, I should say. Because, like, the Gleam Forge, for example, has had a completely different, like, model. It used to have, like, a completely different model. In fact, I'm thinking about it. I said Gleam Forge, but I was thinking of the Ashjaw Crucible. But the Gleam Forge itself used to have the model for the Memoria extractor. I was gonna say, I'm getting a lot of pings. It's gonna be a gold. It does seem like the more, like, pings you get, the higher rarity it is. Like, common stuff, you'll only get, like, 1 or 2 pings on. Like, there, see? That was only 1. That was 3 to get a blue. That was 1. And it got me a green. Like, I do think there is some level of, like, randomness to it. Like, that was 2 pings before I got the catch. And it was great. But, like, when you get more than, like, 4 or 5, it seems like that's usually a legendary. Legendary! Let's go, gold! See? I could tell that one was going to be a gold because of how many pings I was getting off that one. Gold. Told ya. See, that I would have guessed would have been a common, but I think common and uncommon can both give you 1 ping. My guess would be that common is probably 1. Uncommon is probably 2 to 3. Rare is probably 3 to 4. And then legendary is probably like 5 or like 4 to 5. That way you can't just like immediately know what you're gonna get. Yep, gold. That was 5 pings. Five nibbles, 5, whatever you want to call it. Whoops. Nope, rarity chance is still 1. Rip. Or like maybe that's what that means, like the like it maybe it's like subtracting 1 ping needed or something. I don't know. Not a clue. But now now we're level 10 fishing. What I could do is that since, you know, fishing is something that I could like level, I could grind out fishing, get it to level 35. Just like, you know, in between like the episodes or something, and then see, you know, what that gets me to. But I'm probably not going to do that. That just seems like way too extra for something that probably means very little. Go to bed. It is spring, day 7, 51 days total. I feel like the amount of guests have gone down. I feel like I used to come out and like there was always at least one character out here. You know, not counting Umbral, of course. But now I feel like I come out and there's just not ever any. And even when there is, like, there's only one. You know? I mean, it is entirely possible that he has reduced the, like, chances of the, like, extra, you know, of the guests. Because they are kind of really stupidly powerful. You know? Like, the one day that we had freaking 3 guests, we got up to 10,000 money from practically 0. Now we're barely hitting 9,000 a day, you know? Like in a day. And like, yes, there is some level of like, I could increase my prices to be above the market price instead. And that would help bring in, you know, more money and whatnot. And I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to a Game Grumps style like NPCs will buy anything at any price kind of mod, you know? But I haven't seen that. I haven't seen any mods for this game, honestly. Like, first off, I haven't seen like any mods for this game. And secondly, like it's a chill game, and like even if I had, you know, as Dan put it, a more money mod, like I don't know what I would like do with that. The thing that I would do with it is that I would buy glow harvest spires, and I would put them everywhere. But like then I would just have everything automated and all the gathering automated at, you know, some point in that. And then I don't know what really I would do. And that was something that like the Grumps kind of ran into with the buy and leave in Supermarket Sim. Like, yeah, they had a mod for, they did have a more money mod, you know, and it let them have infinite money essentially. And it was a really awesome feature, you know, it was a really awesome mod. And it was like, yeah, anytime I need to buy something, I can just buy it, you know. But there does come a point in these kinds of games where it's like, okay, but now I just have too much money. You know? Like, yes, it would be nice to be able to sell the $10 item for $20 instead. But like, again, at some point I'm gonna end up, you know, automating all of the harvesting. And I'll have bought every item that's available. And like, some of the charm and like fun of this game is the very fact that like I go out and I harvest. You know? Like, I don't know that, like, you know, ever since this game came out, like, I haven't had any interest to return to Supermarket Simulator, partially because I'm concerned, about the fact that I had a modded shop, and I was playing during the pre-release, the early access. And I know that a lot of the shops that were in early access ended up getting, like, screwed over, basically. Having to, you know, restart when the full version came out. And so, like, there's that, where it's like, okay, you know, like, what if I load it up and my save is broken and I have to start from square one? You know, freaking, I did how many streams of Supermarket Simulator? You know, like, I had not the biggest store, but I had a pretty decent sized store, you know. In the court of Velmroth, there served a general who could crush cities with a whisper. He wore no armor, only words and wielded laughter like a blade. But he feared mirrors, not for vanity, but because they remembered who he used to be. In the end, he shattered one and saw not a villain, but a child who had lost his voice. Sometimes the cruelest people are those that were broken first. It is true. It is true, like, sometimes, you know, The sometimes in that is important. You know? If it were, you know, the cruelest people are always the, you know, then maybe not. But the sometimes, like, yeah, no, that does make it true. Like, sometimes the villains, you know, they're the ones that, like, sometimes the villains legitimately, like, are villains. But sometimes the villain can be somebody who thinks that they're doing the right thing. Not every villain, though. There are villains out there that are just that conceited. That it's not that they think they're doing the right thing. They're doing the thing to serve themselves and screw anybody else. I really should remember to come in here and hit the button first, because otherwise I'm gonna run around and like harvest stuff, and then I'm gonna like hit the places that would be auto harvested, and they'll be like, great, like, I mean, I'm here, there's no real reason for me to not just harvest while I'm here, you know, and thus the whole point of the auto harvest ability is nyet. You know? That said, like, there are villains who, like, are villains because they think they're doing the right thing. There are villains that are doing what they do for themselves, you know, knowing full well that what they're doing is wrong. But there are also villains that do the wrong thing, like, on purpose. Like, it's not that they're doing the thing, like, they're doing the wrong thing and they know that they're doing the wrong thing. But the reason they're doing it is because they were hurt, you know? Not every villain who is hurt and thus doing the wrong thing thinks that they're doing the good thing, you know? Sometimes it's just that they're hurt and doing the wrong thing makes them happy, and so then they do the wrong thing. But there are also villains who aren't hurt and they just care about making themselves happy. And thus they do, you know? They do the wrong thing. They know they're doing the wrong thing. But it's not because of, you know, some trauma or, you know, some hurt. It's just like, nah. Like, I'm better than you, and therefore that means that, you know, that this is the reason, you know? Like, that's it. That's the whole thing. I hope that made sense. I'm basically saying there's 3 types of villains, you know, in the world, but, like, you know, in fantasy usually. And you can usually tell, like, what kind of villain there is, you know? For example, Final Fantasy XIV has done all 3 types of villains. The kind who are doing the wrong thing, fully knowing that they're doing, like, evil, you know? But it's not because, like, they're hurt, but because they're just legitimately evil. You know? The Archbishop in Heaven's Word is a good example of that. Like, he wasn't doing what... Yeah, he didn't seek to summon King Thordan for the better of Ishgard. He sought to summon King Thordan because he was evil. And he wasn't doing it because, like, oh, you know, I've been hurt in the past and I want to protect Ishgard or whatever. You know, or like, you know, this benefits me, but I can, like, hide it behind, you know. He just wanted to do it for the power. And, like, and it wasn't even that, like, he had some trauma that made him be like, oh, well, if I have power, then, you know, I don't have to face that trauma ever again. He just wanted power because power. And he was just like, yeah, if I kill the freaking dragons, we get their eyes, and therefore, we get power. And, like, you know, we've been fighting a war for 1,000 years, and I'm tired of fighting it. Like, why don't we just freaking, you know, I want the power, let's just take the power. I think I would classify Gaius as a similar villain. He wanted the power for the sake of the power. But he did also honestly think that power was the end-all be-all. Like, he sought power because if he got the power, then he could, like, protect people, you know? That's what his whole, like, speech is basically about. It's like, why is it that those who are in power are weaklings? And they have to, you know, yearn, they have to get people to yearn for a god in order to stay in power. Because otherwise they wouldn't, well, you know. And then because, you know, you're looking for a god and following a god's morality, a morality that can just change at a whim, you know, like, you do terrible things. Instead, should it not be he who has power that is the one in charge because he has power, you know? It's like, at least in that, like, yes, if the guy goes terrible, he goes terrible still, but, like, at least he legitimately, like, had a reason to be ruling, you know? And that was kind of, that's my interpretation of what Gaius thought. So, but then, you know, so you have got, you know, you have Gaius, and you have the Archbishop, and both of them are like, we want power for power, not necessarily because, like, we're good people. But we want power for the sake of power. You know? One would probably have used it in a better way. But he still would have used, you know, he still sought, you know, greater power for his own self-serving needs. But then you have like Shadowbringers, where you have Emmett Selk, who was completely convinced that what he was doing was the right thing. You know? It's like you're killing millions. Is it killing people if you don't consider them alive? And it brings up a really good point even about like our like modern thoughts, because how often do we slaughter cattle for food? Like, is that not exactly the same as if we were, you know, killing other humans? But we don't think about it simply because we just don't really view cattle as being alive. You know? We don't view cattle as being sentient or conscious. And therefore we don't really, we really do just, we just don't view them as being alive, really. You know? Like, is it killing? Is it murder? If this episode is gonna get freaking... Well, I would say this episode's getting demonetized, but it's not even monetized to begin with. So, can't demonetize something that's not monetized to begin with. Freaking YouTube and their stupid partnership program. Google basically was like, yeah, so we're giving out too much money to people and not seeing enough, like, in, you know, money in return. So we're just gonna stop paying a bunch of people. And it's like, I get it. And from a business perspective, like, yeah, I really do get it. And it does make sense, as much as I hate to say it. But also, like, some of us, you know, some of us have been using that money. And then now we aren't using that money because all of a sudden we don't get that money. You know? It's the argument of, like, you know, once you've done something, you can't take it back without upsetting people. You know? And that really is what happened. It's like, they made decisions that were bad, and bad for them. And the only thing that they could do to fix that was to take back that bad decision. Except that hurts people. You know? It's like, oops, we did a dumb, and so we have to undo our dumb. But unfortunately, we also realize that we're now screwing a bunch of people over by undoing that. But also, we need to undo the dumb thing that we did. You know? And that sucks. Meanwhile, there is also just corporate greed or governmental greed, such as, I don't know, deciding, hey, let's give health care to everybody. And then deciding why. Why should we give health care to everybody? Why should people be healthy? Like, and that, unfortunately, like, that is exactly what it is. You know, they can say whatever they want about, like, the reasoning why they why they did it. But it really just, it all boils down to, yeah, but why would I want you to be healthy? And what's ridiculous about it is the amount of, like, religious, like, the amount of religious people that were like, nah, I don't want to, you know, give my, you know, money to somebody who, you know, doesn't have money. And it's like, I'm sorry, but isn't that the whole basis of your religion? Especially, like, and I'm not trying to, like, call anybody out here, you know? Like, I'm not directing this at anybody watching. I don't think. If you feel like you're being called out, maybe think about it, you know? Just saying. But I'm not, like, you know, specifically calling out anybody. But maybe, you know, if you're, say, a Christian and your God, one of your God's, you know, leading teachings is give. I'm just saying. Doop, doop, Honeyglow, Star Shard, glitch. Like, I'm sorry, but there is no amount of argument that you can give to why, you know, you don't want to support, say, you know, healthcare. Free healthcare for everybody, because I guarantee you that if your supposed God was in fact real, he would be standing here going, why are you not? I can guarantee that. And you could too. This is part of why I did, of course, leave religion. Because regardless of if any one religion is true, which, like, you know, you can't, like, they can't all be true. So there has to be one. But none of the religions that exist, like, actually work or answer any actual questions. But like, you know, maybe if your religion talks about, those who help others are good people, and those who refuse are bad people. You know, maybe you follow that. 170. Okay, so I am gaining on honey, so that's good. Again, I'm just saying. I'm not trying to call anybody out, specifically. Except for, well, like anybody. I'm not specifically calling out anybody other than my family. I will say that. Like, excuse me. 100% I'm calling out my family. I'm not calling out, you know, anybody else. If you feel called out, maybe consider that. You know, like, I'm not trying to call you out specifically, but if you're feeling that way, maybe there's a reason. But, like, even then, I'm not specifically calling anybody out. Like I said, there's corporate greed, and then there's whatever the hell America is. You know? Well, one thing that I laugh at is how much people have been, like, harping on Nintendo for, like, some of their recent choices and being like, corporate greed. And I'm going, so it's fine if Microsoft does that exact thing. Or Sony does that exact thing. But Nintendo's doing it, and therefore Nintendo is evil. Sure, bud. It's like, I'm fully okay with calling out Nintendo for corporate greed. If you're going to call out Nintendo for corporate greed, I require you to call out everybody that is also doing the same thing. I guarantee you that if you actually sit down and start doing that, you'll very quickly realize that Nintendo, while yes, again, I'm not saying that they aren't, you know, greedy. I'm sure there is you know, I'm willing to say, yes, some of Nintendo's choices have very likely been because of greed. But I'm also willing to sit here and say just about every other company has done the exact same thing prior to Nintendo doing it. Nintendo is the least offensive of the corporate companies out there right now. Again, I'm willing to, you know, point fingers at Nintendo and say, like, hey, but there are things that I would point at Nintendo and say, some people claim, you know, greed or whatever on these things, and I don't agree. You know, for example, a lot of people will complain about the Switch and the Switch 2 and like, the system's underpowered, and it's like, yes, compared to other things that are on the market, I can 100% agree with you that the Switch is underpowered. You know, I won't disagree. But let's also stop and think for a moment about how powerful a system needs to be. Do you need super hyper realistic graphics with 60 FPS or even 120 FPS or whatever? You know? Because when I look out at the market right now, and I look at all of the video games that get talked about the most, and I look at the games that are looked on the most fondly, I don't see hyper-realistic graphic 120 FPS games. I see Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Wind Waker. Things that are stylized. Things that aren't trying to be hyper-realistic. Things that aren't like super high def, you know, 120 frame. And I know that I do have viewers who have stated, like, you know, I can emulate their games, you know, with like a higher resolution and a higher frame rate. And I'm like, yes, that's true. And I get that. But I want to know why that matters. You know? I'm not here to argue that it doesn't. I want to ask why. Why does it matter? Again, not with any intent of arguing against the idea. I'm purely asking the question for exactly that. The question, you know? I'm asking why it matters. Specifically because I want to know why it matters. You know? Sometimes when somebody asks, okay, but why? It's not because I want you to fight me. But rather, I'm not understanding why. Why does that matter? Why does 120 frames, super high def matter? This is very much a question of I want to understand why. Not I'm asking why because I want to fight. I want to understand why. Because I don't understand. It's not that I want to fight, it's that I want to understand. Why does it matter? Why do you need that high level of fidelity, of, you know, texture, of, you know, and I know that the immediate answer is going to be because it looks good. But that's not an answer to the question that I'm asking. Because, yes, I get it looks good and you like the fact that it looks good. But it looks good isn't the reason why it has to be. Why would you require 120 frames 4K graphic? But if that exact same game that you played at that graphic level, if 100% of that content was in it, and the only difference was it was on the N64. And yes, I understand, you know, well, the N64 couldn't have freaking run, you know, whatever. Yes, I get that. We're ignoring that aspect for a moment because I'm asking entirely about the graphic side. You know, let's set that aspect aside and think on just this specific thing. You know, if the game that you like so much could be played, but the only difference between it is simply that it's got lower graphics, why would you therefore refuse to play the game? And it's important that I say, you know, why would you refuse to play the game? Because I immediately know that one of the answers to that question is going to be, well, I wouldn't refuse to play the game. And my answer to that is, yes, exactly, that's my point. You know? Why would you refuse to play the game? If you wouldn't, then that's exactly my point. Like, you would still enjoy the game despite the lower graphics. So what's the problem with lower graphics? Like, cause there is. You know, when you say like, well, I could play, you know, the way that it was built, or I could play it with all these awesome, you know, what, like, why? Does it not, do you not like it? Like, does it not look good to you? Like, does you know, let's say you like Ocarina of Time. And yes, I do realize that I'm going to be using Ocarina of Time a lot here. But it's also the #1 video game of all time. Still. Supposedly. Somehow. I mean, heck. If we really want to look at the actual #1 video game of all time, in like, you know, sales and things, we could point to freaking Minecraft. You know? Like, it's that they are 16 pixel textures. Meow. You know? But, like, look at how many people play Minecraft. Like, it doesn't look good. You know? Like, you can look at Hytale and be like, oh, that looks way better than Minecraft. So then, why is Hytale not the new Minecraft? If it looking good is the important aspect. And I do understand, you know, and I should clarify, like, I do understand that having a game run at 30 FPS instead of, say, 20 can alleviate, like, headache. And I totally get that. And I, you know, like, I understand that there are legitimate, like, reasons for some people who have legitimate problems. But I'm not asking those people. I'm asking those who don't have those problems. You know, I'm not looking for the answer of, well, disabled people, because one, I'm disabled, and I don't have some of those problems. So you can't say disabled people. There are people, but you can't use disabled people as a catch-all term, you know? Because not every disabled person has this problem. There are specific disabled people that have the problem. But you still can't use that as a catch-all, you know? Like, plus, again, I'm not asking, you know, about disabled people. I'm asking specifically you. Why can't you play the game, you know, in its original form? It's not the word I was looking for, but it's the word that came to mind. You know? Like, I could load up Ocarina of Time and play Ocarina of Time on the original N64 if I wanted to. Now, I will, and I know I use Ocarina of Time over and over here in the argument, but I would be the first one to tell you that I have issues with Ocarina of Time. Like, I don't play Ocarina of Time because I have issues with Ocarina of Time. Several of the issues which are fixed by, say, the PC port. But those issues are not frame rate and graphics. They're not standard resolution versus widescreen. Hooray, level 24! Shop has gained enough XP to level up. And again, I'm not saying, why wouldn't you go out and buy the new version of Star Fox? I'm saying, like, when you go to play Star Fox 64, and maybe Star Fox 64 is a bad example, because I think the Nintendo 64 thing is locked behind the subscription. I think it's just the NES and, like, Super Nintendo, right? That are available without pay, Like, what is the reason why, let's say you own a Switch 1, let's say you own a Switch 1, and you could boot up A Link to the Past right off of the Nintendo Online system. But when you play, even though it's free, even though, all you have to do is grab your Switch and open it up, why is it that you would prefer to go through the trouble of downloading an emulator, obtaining a ROM in some manner, preferably legally, but, I know that there are illegal ways, I'm not condoning those. Because, again, preferably you're doing it in a legal manner, not an illegal manner. Manner, not matter. Like, why would you go through the trouble? And then, like, you download it on another thing, and it's like, oh, but now it runs at 60 FPS. And I can install, like, a texture pack, but, like, why do you need all of that to play it? Oop, I did not pay off my bills today. So I have the Order of Gardening, which gives new terrariums. I also have the Alchemist Agreement, which will unlock 4 new items. Interesting. So I think the last one was the Light Barrier. I don't think the Pot of Poison. Yeah, Pot of Poison isn't out here. No, Pot of Poison is out here. Hang on, it said 4 items. But I have the Pot of Poison. So what's the 4th item? I'm only seeing 3. Potion of High Clarity. Potion of Extended Water Breathing. And Potion of Natural Reflection. I'm looking... Oh, here it is. I was going to say, I'm looking for something that I have a stock of 0. It's the Alchemist Master Recipes. Interesting, interesting. And all of these are Alchemist recipes. Very interesting. I'm gonna have to think about this one. Because that has me a little screwed up here. I expected to get potions. And while I did get potions, I only got 3 new potions. Which leaves me with this shelf, which has these 4 items on it. But now I have new book that somehow needs to go with these book. Apprentice, Journeyman, Master, Field Guide, and Field Journal. I think I know what to do. Weird. Very strange. Very strange. I'm just a little curious about why it goes slow at first. But then if I put them back and then take them out, why it suddenly goes fast. It seems like it's a crate thing. Because you'll notice that now it's going fine. But all of those crates all did it slow. So it kind of feels like it's crate related in some way. Which is weird. Apprentice recipes. Journeyman recipes. master recipes. And then field journal is first, which does make sense being it is smaller. Field journal, field guide. Interesting, interesting. Very interesting. I was gonna say, there's water breathing. What is this? Natural reflection? Potion of rage. Yeah. Gonna have to just grab all of these. That's clarity. Yeah, it's like crate related. So this is high clarity. So that should go up there. I have the potion of rage here. And so if I put the potion of poison next to that, that makes sense. Now we have water breathing and extended water breathing. And then we have reflection and barrier. Cool. I like it. Now all aligned with their lower counterparts. And then, you know, there isn't a higher rage or a higher poison, so those two go together well. Right? That's stamina, strong endurance, speed, endurance. Oh yeah, endurance, strong endurance. And here I have speed and stamina, magic, health, high health. Cool. I like that. 1040. Whoops. 1310. I mean, I did kind of need to purchase more, but the problem is just that they weren't going to go into the thing. Oop. I had bag of storage turned off. Now I can reactivate my wisps and they should be able to restock everything. At least, you know, anything that isn't out anyway. This I definitely need more of. I think all of the swords, don't they hold 6 each? So I think these both need more. These axes need more. Those need more. I'll buy a crate of each quiver regardless. These look fine. I could also use the book to kind of look it over too. My only complaint is now that I've moved those over there, they don't feel like alchemy and like ingredients. You know, it's like you've got your potions, you've got your recipes, And then your alchemy, but your alchemy ingredients are all over there. At the same time, though, the ethers could be viewed as alchemy ingredients. Because, you know, maybe you need a bottle of ether for different things, you know? Cheeses are just cheeses. Gems, I mean, these are either decoration or, like, maybe a lavendrite spear gives, like, you know, magic protection, you know? And so these would be like armor and weapon, like, enchantment ingredients, you know? And these are toys. Like, this is the toy section. And then, like, this is the food section. Like, I feel like if I moved the cheese, then I could have just, like, a food section. Like, these three are the toys. These three are the food. So it feels weird for the cheese to be over here. But I don't know that I can change that, really. Maybe I'll do a redesign of the store once I... Also, I'm gonna now pay extra for this guy. Like, Hopper hasn't done any work, yet he's gonna get freaking paid tomorrow. It would have been better to freaking grab him during the night, but oh well. Cauldron. Whoa! I hit F11, which apparently full screens. I must not have bought the other cauldron, and it must still be in here. Cauldron of Blood. Yeah, that looks about right. So I know that I'm staring right into a bright light, but I'm trying to get okay. I'm just trying to make sure that I had that at the right size to match up. Cool. 4 cashiers, all with their own cauldrons. Very cool. Yeah, I think that works pretty well. See, I have this recollection of having paintings all over the place. And I have none. That doesn't seem right. Like, I swear I remember having tons of paintings all across the, like, ceiling here. Or not ceiling, but, like, all across the, like, walls here. Whoops. And yet, I don't have any paintings. And that just doesn't feel right. I'm wondering if, like, a glitch happens and, like, something happened to all of the paintings. Like a rewrite in the code, maybe, that caused, like, all the paintings to disappear. I mean, I don't know for a fact. You know, all I can do really is speculate. I mean, it looks better. Cool. Whoops, wrong button. I do like that you can see, like, you know, there's a window here. Right? And, like, you can see into it and see, like, oh, this is what it looks like when there's no room there. Huh? This window's back. This window was not here in the last video. Nothing has updated, though. Like, I haven't updated the game or anything. Weird. This window was not here before. Also, you cannot crouch while you're in flight mode. However, because of flight mode, you can now get up to this window. And if you crouch, you can get through. Huh? Oh, this is underneath. Whoa, this is underneath the structure. This is underneath the building. There is some weird wall placement. There is some weird wall placement. Frickin' heck. I keep hitting the wrong button to fly. Oh. Hang on. Fly. Fly up here. Land in the window. Crouch out the window. But unfortunately, it doesn't seem to work on this window. Like, I can't do the fly up here. Unfly, land, crouch, go through. When I crouch, it pushes me under the window. Which is sad, because I would love to, like, glitch in through this window. And, like, see, you know, the inside. Oh, wait. Ha-ha! Never mind. I did it. Whoa. Oh, there are stairs. There are stairs right here. Maybe? Are these stairs? They look like a spot for stairs. I don't know. Like, I've theorized that there would be like stairs to like come up here and like use up here. But this looks less than finished. Uh-huh. Interesting. Yeah, you can only get here if you're crouching. Same with over here. So no, these aren't stairs. This is just the edge of the wall. Like the exterior wall. But you can see through this crack here, like the other spots of the building. But I wonder if the idea is that the full version, like maybe like this is as far as it goes right now. Like out to here. And maybe in the full version, like you'll be able to unlock this. And that'll like let you use up here. This is wild. I always wanted to get up here. Like, I've tried that so many times to glitch my way up here. Because I so badly wanted to see. Like, what if up here, you know? Oh, there are stairs. I see them. I see them. Yo. I see the stairs. There are stairs there. I can see that there's like a room here, which makes sense. I actually can't see through any of this stuff. Like, this stuff is aligned correctly in such a way that you can't see through it. But once you get over here, there's a tiny crack in the floor. Same with over here. I'm gonna assume that the floor is lined up like starting on this side. And so that's why there's no crack on this side. Just like there's no crack on this side. Like you can see, this is where the floor begins. But the floor itself isn't the right size. And so you get this crack here. Never have I wanted a no clip feature to exist. Like, never more have I wanted a no clip than right now. So that I could no clip right down there. But I do see them. I see stairs. There are stairs right here. There are stairs right underneath this section of floor. I'm probably not going to be able to perform the glitch again to get out, so I'm just going to return home. So yeah, I mean, we were looking at the store inside of the store. Wait a moment. We were looking at the second floor. We were looking at all of this. We weren't looking down here. So there's stairs right here. So there's an entire other floor that may not currently be available. And that's not even counting the attic section. Also, there's just a hole that's big enough right here. You can just slide right through there. You don't even have to do the window glitch to get into this section. And this lets you get all the way underneath the foundation. Cool. Yo, I could put all of my stuff down here. Like, think about it. I could put all of the stuff down here. I probably won't do it because at some point this is going to get updated and I'm going to get locked out. And then I would lose all of my stuff, you know? All of my, you know, freaking forges and cheese makers and stuff like that. But like, yo, I could do that if I wanted. Oop, down here. There's a hole. I could do that. Put all my stuff in there. Just underneath the foundation. And then I don't even need the freaking structure over there that I built. That said, one complaint I have is that there's no ceiling. You know, I can't put a roof on this. Like, this is considered the roof. I'm sure it'll, you know, I'm sure that they'll add more eventually. But, I'm just saying, you can't do it at the moment. Like, you can only put a flat roof. There doesn't appear to be a level 2 of the other things. Ooh, Alchemist Pact 1 at level 31 gives even more potions. You're now close enough to gain access to the most rare of potions. Ooh. Well, I mean, that's going to change up how my store looks when I get there. But yeah, that's cool. I mean, right now there are 20 expansions. That goes all the way over here, so then, let me see, because that's obviously the next expansion. Upgrade, expansions, number 9. So maybe you can access both floors. So that's number 9. Then it would be, what, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. If I then assume these two, yeah, that's 20. So no, we can't even access the next floor. You can't build up beyond number 20. I have never been so hyped. Like, it might sound ridiculous, but like that actually has me super hyped. Oh, these are what we're sticking through. Oh my gosh, this is what's sticking through on the inside. Because remember, it was against this wall and against this wall, and so they're sticking through. Oh my gosh, we're learning, we're discovering the secrets that were meant to be kept hidden. And these are what are sticking through. Like, this goes that way. And this goes that way. But neither of them is long enough to then actually block this. Like, this one doesn't go out far enough. It cuts just short, even though this one is long enough. This one cuts short and thus leaves this open. And then like the roof clips in here. And then maybe this is what's sticking out on this side. Or maybe it's this. Which direction was it? This way. So yeah, okay. Cause yeah, if it was that, it would have been sticking out this way. But it's this wall that's then sticking out under here. Yep. And so these are the walls to the stairs. Yo. I love discovering the tricks. I love discovering the tricks. That's so cool. Somebody make a no clip mod so that I can do boundary break. I mean, really, the only thing I'd be able to boundary break is that. Because, like, everything else is pretty much, you know, open. Especially now that we have the fly. But it would still be kind of fun to be like, let's go inside of this tree. And then see that there's just nothing inside. Or, like, go under the water and see what fun things hide underneath. Unfortunately, the water is a barrier. Even with flight enabled, I can't go under it. Which is unfortunate because if I could go under it, there is one area here. Let me sleep, and then we'll be so that we can see the daytime. Here to spring day 8. Oh, hey! Big turtle. Oh my gosh! We've got big turtle and Patch. What was I saying just a moment ago about there not being any freaking guests? We have Big Turtle, we have Patch, and we have a Titan. All at once. By the way, if you activate flight mode, you just switch to the Wisp. Instead of the dragon. But there's a spot in the water. Right over here. That if I had a no clip, I would love to see. Because there's like a big hole here. But I can't get through. And you cannot see it at all from here. You have to go up. And it's only by going up that you notice. Like, it's only by going up that you can see the, like, difference in the ground. Cool. Well, there's Patch. There's the big blue turtle. We have gone for almost 3 hours now. I think we only did 2 days. But we've gone for almost 3 hours now. So I think I actually need to consider ending the recording. So, you know, when we return, we can see what, you know, we can continue. But yeah, somebody make a no clip mod, and I would be so happy. Like, I would be so excited for a no clip mod. Like, it's probably just the same underneath your house. But it'd be cool, you know? No clip under the house. Oh, flight is a thing, so now we can, like, get up here. Not that there is anything up here, but still. We can see that the wall is fake. Look at that. Like, this wall, it does not go out to where the wall is. Yep. I already know that I'm going to be calling this episode something like Discovering the Secrets of the Shop, or something like that. This this log doesn't go far enough on both sides. If I could no clip, I could see what's in the chest. Probably nothing. I wonder if these, like, this chest and these dressers are ever gonna have a use. Ha! I can move the chandelier. Which, you know, to all of you may not mean much because you have probably known. But I have not. Cool. So now I can properly center the chandeliers. Like I said, all of you probably do, but I did not, so. Boop. Progress has been saved. Yeah, once there's a second floor, this would probably become available. And maybe there's something with this. Once you have the, you know, enough of the second floor. Maybe you can do something with this weird spot. Also, was there not, like, a bunch of thatch up here before? Because now it's not there now. I swear there was, like, thatch and stuff up there. Alright, well, I hope you've enjoyed. If you have, feel free to subscribe. You can check the playlist for more of the series. You can come on out to twitch.tv. Come on out twitch.tv /Serene Inc. to watch the streams. Normally these are streamed live, but they're not right now because of the whole me moving thing. So but with that, I will see you all next time. I want to go through the portal. I want to go through the portal. What the frick? Huh? If you come at it from the backside and you have enough speed, or maybe it's like a specific spot you have to walk over. Ah. There's like something here, right there. It pushes you all the way to the top of it for some reason. That's so weird. Alright, see you later.